diddly go for the live stream. Hello, Abigail. And just tell an AG. Oh, what the fuck did I put there? You know what I should do? I should really quickly wipe that before it stains. Right. Just noticed I spilt some fresh made grenadine on myself that would have stained permanently. And hello, Philip, on Facebook. I think AZ just tried to do a voice to text message to me, which failed pretty badly. But, you know, it was a pretty basic request to send the link. So I see. And he does the superfluous thank you message. Yes. So good evening, all. Musical aviator, Philip, Abigail. Hello, 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 hello. Just put a little grenadine in my juice. Just trying to mix it. It's evenly mixed. King of superfluous messages. The music aviator working on Saturday, getting some overtime, but losing a bit of the weekend. Swings and roundabouts. Oh, yeah, that's the stuff. Yes, I'm taking 3 weeks off around Christmas. So it's like, yay, 3 weeks off. Like, oh, boo, not getting paid for 3 weeks because I'm a contractor. There's a particular sort of the mindset you have to have as a contractor to settle into the fact that you have to go, if you're going to have holidays, that means you have to go without pay for a while. And yeah, it's all well and good to go. Okay, I'm getting paid more. Getting paid more during the year to allow for leave. But when you're actually just voluntarily not getting paid, you don't have to send all of these motherfucking messages. Okay. Speak of the devil. There.
Look at me.
Hey, Bertie.
Do you have the problem with people when you're trying to make a voice message on your phone or computer, saying random unfortunate words? Like just saying you're trying to make a radio script for a very popular influencers show and someone keeps on screaming out incest, or, you know, pork porn, or
okay,
what I showed you on the phone, which had nothing to do with the message I was trying to give you.
Sure. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. But yeah, well, there's an old joke from way back in the very early days.
Live alone?
Of Windows doing a presentation of being able to do voice to text from the DOS prompt on the old Windows machine, and in a big hall saying like, "Oh, it's wonderful! You do it, and it can execute commands." And people went with it, and someone yelled out, "Format C : enter," and someone else screamed out, "Yes, enter." And for those who aren't nerdy enough, that's the command to reformat the hard drive, i.e., fuck up the entire computer.
Completely.
So that was a popular folklore of the 90s when someone at Microsoft was trying to show off their prototype of voice to text. It's been with us for a while. I do like one of them. I don't remember if it was Apple or Microsoft, but the speech to text team had T-shirts made up that said, "I helped wreck a nice beach." because that was one of the early ones. Recognized speech was captured as "rec a nice beach," which bit of a metaphor, cool. Really.
Rec a nice beach. Because I actually think about that a lot. Rec a nice beach, because I'll be talking to my beauty. I'm teaching it how to see what I used to love in the old computers. God,
yours.
We're talking in the 80s now. Fucking
yes.
You know, back in the days when electricity was for kinetic movement. Fuck.
Yeah.
What you used to be able to do is put macros in your Word documents.
Yes.
And I fucking loved macros because I fucking have manky fingers.
Yeah.
If you can go three keys, click, 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 and paragraph of shit turns up, you just go, thanks for coming. And what I've worked out now is with your well, okay, it's everyone. Android will do it, but Apple's doing it. I'm doing it, say, on the iPad and on the iPhone. You can have Siri do shit, and you can have voice control, and having a spatchcock of them both. Nice use of the word spatchcock of them both. You can have things called they're called they're not called macros, they're called
I don't know.
Hey Siri, what's a macro called on an iPhone? Shortcuts. They're called shortcuts.
Right.
And you can program the fuckers yourself. And they shouldn't have told me that. They should not have told me that. I've been going all throughout the net going, right, so you can get to do this, you can get to do that. And I love getting computers to do shit that they're not allowed to do. Right, this fucker will be swearing at random people as I'm walking past when it hears certain keywords.
Right.
I'm going to give my phone Tourette's.
Yeah, good.
How good is that going to be?
That's an accomplishment. Oh, Philip knew shortcut, but your Siri shortcut was a bit faster than him typing.
Siri just said I don't know how to respond to that. Like you will.
No, you don't, because you don't know what's coming.
You will know how to respond to that.
Yeah. Oh, and hello to Nintendo Lunchbox. Good morning to you in Las Vegas.
Hello, Nintendo Lunchbox. It is very kind of you to join us here. Both myself and Angry are in Melbourne, though he need not be. He could be in Vietnam right now,
True.
being a communist.
Yep, very much so.
He could be in a rice factory, polishing each grain of rice down to perfection so that his Japanese masters could pretend that it was rice that had come in from China. Right? I, of course, am in Melbourne. And I would be in Melbourne because I'm white.
Kind of, sort of. Abigail, besides the Format C drive prank, a gamer one is to tell someone while they're in the middle of a game if they're having a problem, if it's glitching. I'll try pressing Alt F4. Yeah.
Try pressing Alt F4. That'll fix it. I can't seem to get onto this server. I want to get try Alt F4. I pressed it and my machine went blank. There was another one you could press. But you'd have to wait until I was really young. Press Control Alt Delete twice.
That's for the real slow kids.
Delete and then hit delete again. You see the screen come up and then you hit delete one more time and it'll race back to where you were. But fucking people used to do it. I know.
Yeah.
I used to live with a troll. And I should stop shouting because people are probably going to get the shits with me soon. I used to live with a troll and he was a troll. And he used to love picking on 14-year-olds when he was in gaming.
Okay.
Yeah. You know. I always used to be worried that he would punch down. But he used to get a lot of kids to Control Alt Delete. out of the fucking room, and they used to laugh their fucking asses out at it. But thing is, as we both know, kiddies grow up, and I know this guy's going to have problems because he's kept his handle. What a dick! And they're going to be back with their computer science degrees and go, "Oh, I can see your problem here is that you've got too much porn on your hard drive. I don't have porn on my hard drive. Woo, 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 woo." Here come the cops. So yeah, all your chickens always come home to roost. That's what my dad always told me. One of the few things he said that wasn't bullshit.
Yes, yeah, you got to be a little bit careful about what goes around comes around. Hello, Mega Leech, by the way. And Catherine's wondering how people would fall for that. Catherine, there are some really dumb people out there.
Spectacularly dumb people, Catherine.
Huh.
Fucking Catherine. One of the funniest things I've ever seen was there was a movie years ago done by Handmaid, and it was the dreaded pirate Yellowbeard or something like that. Yellowbeard.
Yellowbeard. Yeah.
And in it, there was a girl who said to a rich man, two pennies for a pound of for a piece of shit. Excuse me, 2 pennies for a piece of shit. No. And then she chucks a piece of shit at him. And then the other guy goes, "Well, okay, I'll give you your 2 pennies," and he gives her 2 pennies, and she chucks a piece of shit at him. There are people who are fucking stupid. I've seen Penn and Teller on American morning national television hand Bryant Gumbel live mouse and rat traps 8 times, and he takes them off him getting caught by these traps 8 times and gets the shits with them. Like, it's really angry with him.
Yeah.
And Teller's the one that doesn't speak, is fucking trying not to open his mouth laughing loud.
Yeah.
Because Gumbel is continuing to take fucking
doing the dumbest thing imaginable.
And Penn is saying, "You keep on taking loaded mousetraps." Well, why are you doing that? "Because I'm giving it to you. Here, grab this." "No, it'll go off. Here, look." All right, and he holds it himself and then grabs the trigger. "See, look," and he grabs it and smack, there it goes. And all he has to do first. I mean, okay, imagine you tried to do it in Australia. Here you go, and the first Australian presenter would go, "No, that's a live mousetrap. That will hurt me. Maybe you can show it on yourself." "Oh, it doesn't hurt on me." "That's great, mate. What else you got?" Because I'm not grabbing a fucking live mousetrap off you. You're a fucking idiot.
Yes.
But no, Bryant Gumbel, the fucking one of the most highly paid anchors in America, used to work with Katie Couric, and Katie Couric never had a bowel motion in her life. You knew that because she was
no, she showed the video of her colonoscopy. She definitely has bowel movements. She actually put to air a video of, I don't remember if they were doing it on air or if she'd had I have this weird feeling. I remember she was actually lying on a table and there was a screen covering her back half and they were doing the colonoscopy. I'm going to look it up now because I want to, but she definitely showed the video. So if we go, God damn it, I can't type for shit.
If you prove to me that Katie Couric is an asshole, my mind is going to go. Because the way she used to say stuff used to remind me of people who never swore or went dang. Because it was too close to damn.
So I found a video on YouTube. So she's drinking the barium or whatever you have to drink, and then she's lying on the bed, and it's not in the studio. She's in hospital, and see, they lie on, and they're showing the video. She's conscious, and they're doing a colonoscopy, and oh yeah, Katie Couric's colon. There you go.
Was it like in aid of colon health week?
Yeah, because there was a cancer scare, I think. But that video is on YouTube of her showing America her colonoscopy.
You know, colon cancer is the #1 cancer in America.
Yes. I told you, didn't I? I sent my poo to the government because
I didn't. I got the notice. Send
Yeah.
your poo to the government. And I went,
yeah.
you want my poo? And they went, no.
Everyone's got all
And
the.
I said, no, you flushed it. That was an illusion because it came
Yeah.
up in the trap and came out
Yeah.
and asked
Yeah.
to go home. And
It
we
said,
went, have a home.
Mama.
There's a lot of that going on. And then they brought me out of the drug stupid.
This is the second time I've done it. You get you get to a certain age. Yeah, you get to a certain age, and every couple of years, the government goes, "Go on, send us some more poo," and that's because colon cancer is so prevalent.
Which is like this really weird jelly plastic bag that you stretch over your seat. So you poo in it, ploop, and then you get a swizzle stick, swizzle, and then you put it in and swizzle, and then you post it off, and that's it.
Yes.
You're done. And you get the plastic bag, and it just twists on itself, right?
Well, you're thinking olden times. They don't do a plastic bag anymore. It's this biodegradable paper thing, and you lie it on top of the toilet, and you poop on that. Yes. And then you do swizzle, and then put it in the
plop.
And then you flush it, and because it's just a biodegradable paper thing.
The Twizzle plastic stuff was also a biodegradable thing. So this is probably a development of obviously the even better version of that.
Yeah.
But you can also get this stuff that you put child's nappies in a bucket, and then you crank it, and it twists this stuff which adheses on itself like cling wrap. And then it makes this long chain of turd nappies that you just dump in the green bin, the wheelie bin, the council bin, the county bin, the sheriff's bin, and it doesn't smell. It's not nasty, and away it goes to enrich the lives of archaeologists in 20,000 years.
Yeah, exactly. So, yes, and Estella pointed out, science has proven that women don't poop or fart, so they're just butterflies walked away from them.
Who gave herself very bad constipation, had to be hospitally treated.
Oh no!
Because she met a new guy.
Yeah.
And she went round to his place for the first time, and they got it off really well.
Yeah.
And she would not go to the toilet with him there. And he had to go out to get something from the shop next door. So she had time for a wee, first time in 2 days. Then he's come back. And so she's been there, and she was there another 3 days. And she managed to get, I think, 2 more wheeze in that 2 days. I mean, your back teeth would be floating. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. No, it's not good for you. It's not good for you.
But she hadn't had a bowel motion in close to a week, right? She's on this fucking hippie diet. So it's all, when meat eaters don't have a crap, it compacts pretty hard. When vegans don't have a crap, it compacts like concrete made out of diamond, because there's so much fiber in it that it basically is used to just moving all the time.
Yeah.
But then when it actually binds up,
dude,
you need extra special care.
That's too much fiber.
They had to get her in there with extra special care, and they had to high colonic it with a
enema
colonoscopy nozzle. And because I said if we can't get it that way, we're gonna have to cut in.
Ooh, a lot of the old irrigation going on, trying to loosen things up.
Yeah.
I love
And of
this. Good
course, they
evening,
do that while you're
Stella.
twilight awake.
Oh no. Saying good evening to Stella, who also said she has IBS, so no man stops either farts or poops in her world.
No.
Absolutely, body comes first.
You know,
Far ahead.
I have said to ladies many, many
Mm,
times,
mm,
many times in
yes.
my company, I've said, listen, the bathroom is over here, and there is another one up the hall over there. I don't care which one you use. Just tell me which one you're going to so that I don't walk in on you. That's
Yeah.
all I need to know. And I do expect you, please, to use them because otherwise we're both going to be uncomfortable. I will be
Yeah.
using them, and I expect you to too. Let's go and have a line. Do you mind if I just go to the bathroom first? Please, feel free. Pick one.
Yeah.
Because once you sort of get them used to the idea that I know they've got an asshole,
Yeah.
they can be a lot less tight. Because you
Yeah.
find they'll go a bit squeakier as time goes on because they're trying not.
Big bad ads saying this is perfect dinner time subject. Dude, that's what you get for having a late dinner. We're going to be talking about poops. Just got one here. So,
I can't get them to curl like that anymore. I'm disgusted with myself.
when I first a YouTube friend sent me this, and when I first saw it, I thought,
Friend. Yeah.
oh no, it was with a big box of candy. It was really, but when I first saw it, I thought it didn't look realistic at all. And but then you put it on the ground, and no matter how used to this I am, because I've had it for a couple of years now, no matter how used to it I am, if I see it sitting on the floor, I think someone's done a monster. It's like a dog. Humans don't shit like this. It's like some huge dog has gotten in and done a monster. I used to do it with young Mr. Angry, like put it in his bed, and try and get him to go, oh! And he did, but then I'd always find it in my bed, and neither of us ever said anything, and it would just be the poo war going back. But now he's like 6'1", and I don't want to antagonize him. So
my nephew was a graffiti artist, and he decided that instead of being an actual graffiti artist, what he'd do is he'd make up a sticker.
Yeah.
Because they're a lot easier than actually fucking painting.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
You get the printers to do that shit, and you stick it on a sticker, and you can just like whack the sticker where you want it. And my brother was renovating their house, and he went, hang on. And he got his graffiti sticker and went, split, name was here.
Yeah.
And he said, that's going to be covered over by a tiled wall. That's going to be covered over by gyprock. And he's like, yeah, I know. No one's going to see that until they redo this bathroom in 20 years. And he says, yeah, I know.
Exactly. I love it. The man's got forward thinking. He's got vision.
Like, and you think, that's a good point. Someone's going to rip that down and gone,
the fuck is that?
The fuck is, why would they, how did they know I was going to, that's very disturbing. Where is this guy now? And that's the kind of shit historians lose their fucking shit over.
Yeah.
Because, people who do stuff like that, they kept on finding messages written in the concrete or painted on the concrete above the tiling in the QVB building in Sydney. So they had to restore it in the 1990s.
Yeah.
And they were taking the gyprock off. And they'd found that these people had come through over beautifully tiled and mosaiced walls, had fucking just slammed gyprock with nails right through this historically beautiful stuff. And they were all old fucking craftsmen virtually crying to see the
Yeah.
damage that had been made every meter.
Yeah.
But what they were also finding was there was painting and pencil and crayon drawing. Paint, pencil, and crayon are the three marking tools that tradesmen use to mark and draw measurements, diagrams, and sometimes messages. And I know that my brother and father used to tell each other to get fuck your poofter all over houses because all that stuff's going to be either painted over or covered up. You're never going to see it. Except for, this is just a sidebar, this family who came with their pastor to get their new house blessed. And these guys right through the house going, George is a cunt. They named him the cunt George licked.
No.
Poofter. Who's the poofter? The biggest poofter is, and it was fucking everywhere. And they've gone in right through the house, and they didn't say a word, and it was just filth everywhere. And I was just going, oh fuck, maybe we should slow down on this. They sort of did. But they were finding in the QV building that there were gangs. The gangs were telling each other to get fucked in very quaint 1900s and 1910s ways. And there were even some names of boys who'd gone off to the 1915 war towards the end. And they would know this because every meter, a nail went in, and the tiles that were behind it had to come out and be replaced. So you get this big, dinner plate sized hole where you'd see everything under it, and you could actually line up all of the writings and line up all of the lines, especially if they were big enough. And sometimes you get whole bits. Anyway, it was the same stuff they found in the Egyptian pyramids. Right. In the Egyptian pyramids, behind the stones, the gangs used to put their gang mark on. And they now know that it was to prove for time and motion that the gang had their stone in place at the right time and the right place for accounting, for A, pay, and for B, engineering. That Khufu's bastards and the River Song didn't fucking put the stone in the wrong spot, that they were in the right spot. But then what would happen was Khufu's bastards gang sign would be there, and then after it, in a different coloured paint, are a bunch of homosexuals who suck the reed dry, which is why we have no water. But it was the same thing. It was these men calling each other poofters, is a dickhead, blah blah is a total fuckwit. Site managers would get the shit scorned out of them, and you could see the different site managers as they went through their careers. And apparently what was also funny is the site managers, as they were growing up and retiring, the last bits of graffiti about them was actually a very fine gentleman and did a very good job as his tenure, and congratulations on him moving up to supervisor.
We'll miss you.
They give him shit, and then, oh, well done, dude. You got the promo that you richly deserve.
Abigail pointing out a lot of that in ancient Rome as well. The archaeological dig in Pompeii uncovered particularly filthy graffiti that school students all get to see now. What does that say, miss? It says Michaela sucks donkey dick.
We're going to talk about fellatio now. It's not a very popular thing, and you boys wouldn't like it.
Unless they would. And Stella says Khufu's Bastards is going to be her next punk rock band name. So she's fond of that.
Yeah, it was Cooper's Bastards was actually one of the bigger gangs. They were rock movers, like the Big Stones. So what they would do is they would put the facing stones, the big stones, on the outsides of the pyramids and on the insides of the structures, and fill everything in the middle with rubble. Right. So the rubble fillers are going littler gangs with big baskets of rock and fill and pottery. They used to make pots to smash them, which blows my mind because they didn't have enough waste pot. So they used to bake pot to smash it. It was considered a woman's and a boy's job to take smash pot from the kilns, racked up on the kilns, and to throw it off a cliff. So they spend all day just fucking chucking pots off a cliff.
Sure.
And they get this stuff and shovel it into baskets, and they'd mix it up with gravel and rocks and bigger rocks, and then it'd be filled. It took them a long time to work out why it had to be clay, and not just clay the dirt, because it won't dry out, because remember it's been baked, and it won't move. It in fact keeps the solidity of the weight of the fill nice and compact, and it won't move if you hit it with any kind of shock.
Yeah.
Or the sun comes up and heats this side of the pyramid first. That's a lot of sun movement. It'll actually stay nice and solid. Really clever. Yeah, there were littler gangs who used to throw rubble, but the bigger gangs, like we're talking 100, 200 men, would move the rocks. And you've got to slide these fuckers up really steep inclines. Fairly hot work. Lots of conversational, lots of prayer going on.
Yeah.
Lots of descriptions of sex. They then have to get it close and then get it exact. So you've got four, not architects, not engineers, but surveyors sitting on corners, and they would get pipes with thickened river water in them. We do the same with oil and hoses today.
Yes.
And then they put these pipes there and cut out like a half a bamboo slit, and on it they'd have a two nails in the wall and a nail hanging off at exactly the right height off the string, and the water has got to come up to the string, so the rock has got to come up exactly to the millimeter to the string. And you're talking about moving several 100 tons of rock, millimeters at a time. And they think they did it the Eiffel way, which was to have sandbags, which they would release the sand out of and then stop. Excuse me for 2 seconds. I'll be back. Very clever stuff. Very clever stuff.
I like the Stella saying you're a rock mover as well. So Khufu's Bastards is definitely a good name for a band. The whole thing with doing stuff under construction that's going to get covered up. Catherine seeing stuff like that on Facebook. I saw one someone did. They were redoing the flooring in their house, and so like they ripped up the old carpet and there was like concrete underneath. But before they put the new flooring down, they got some red paint and splattered it around everywhere. So, it looked like a massive amount of bloodstains. And they put red handprints everywhere and then wrote on with their hands. So it was really rough with the red stuff, saying like things like, help me and don't go in the cellar. And then let that dry and then put the flooring on top of it. So yeah, again, in 20 years, when someone else decides to redo the flooring and they rip up this now worn flooring, there's this horrible murder house red graffiti under there about "Help me! They've got me in the cellar."
Was that you?
No, I wish. I've never actually renovated a house, but I've seen variations on that a couple of times. One where someone says, "Oh my god, I found," and it's either behind a wall, like say they pull off the drywall or rip up the carpet, and someone with a sick sense of humor has put really deranged shit there, or they do it themselves. They're like, "Hey, I'm gonna rip up the carpet. It's gonna be covered for 20 or 30 years. I'm gonna put some really weird shit down so." Whoever does this in 20 or 30 years is going to get either get a laugh or get a bit weirded out by it.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be the funniest thing. But a lot of the stuff they're finding in Egypt, the spectacular stuff, is stuff that was deliberately never meant to be seen, and they never would have known about it except for an earthquake that happened in Alexandria.
Right.
So there was a wall
Yes.
that was backed onto a civic building. It wasn't a temple. It wasn't a library. It was a civic building. Oh, the Great Library of Alexandria was a suburb. It was a suburb. It wasn't one building. It was a suburb of buildings. It was think about it like a university campus. And it was just known as the Great Library because that was where all of the texts and the text workers hung out. But anyway, this one building had a fill wall in it, and it wasn't really finished. It's in the Greek times. It wasn't really finished. There was an earthquake, and all of the back of the fill wall fell off, right? Sort of cracked right down the seam. And the fill wall stood up. It sort of fell in, but just a little bit. And what they saw was all of the scoring marks and all of the geometry marks and the cubit. There was an actual cubit hand on one of these stones that was going to be an obelisk, and this obelisk was going to a pyramid, but didn't get there, and it ended up in this building. And they saw all of these measurements that basically laid out the starting points for all of the other measurements that were going to happen. And the mathematics of building in Egypt, in ancient Egypt, exploded after they found this one obelisk that never made it, because it had the way they made arcs, the way they made right angles, and the way they leveling. The leveling particularly was elegant as hell. The Great Pyramid sits on a piece of land that is curved slightly. So how they did that, and it's so fucking simple, was they said it's going to be here. And then they dug footing like a little dam, like a little aqueduct dam, all the way around. Yeah. And then they filled that fucker up with water. Okay. So then they put tightened strings to stakes across those dams, and the nails would go into those strings, and they know because water stays flat, that's a flat surface. Doesn't matter how big you want the surface to be, that's a flat surface. So you've got this big square around the pyramid of a flat surface. Then you dig in pegs to this point, and you make mounds that are exactly that shape. And now you've got 4 points that which you can trigonometrically agree to for the rest of your build. And you go, well, that helps you, horizontally. And of course, the second you go, well, the moment you go up, now you're going fucking trigonometrically up. And if I've got another trig point that way, I've now got even more precise measurement, which is how they now know that they knew the stepped pyramid was stepped because they fucking knew from measurement from the ground that's not going to make it. There's no way that's going to make it. Because they knew the strength of the rock, they knew the height, and they knew everything. And we're just going, no, it's not going to work. It's just fucking not going to work. And so they know a lot more about how they built those pyramids now. They know that they moved the rocks on mud. They know that they moved most of the rocks on the river. Well, that's bullshit because the river's a long way away from where the site was. No, they always used to dig a canal right up to the site. Always. They used to dig canals out to the quarries because while the aliens might have been clever enough to come a long way away to help them build the pyramids, the Egyptians were actually really smart and weren't dickheads and said, hey, wouldn't it be easier to build a quarry and float these fuckers than to carry them?
Yeah, that does seem like a very smart idea. Yes.
But you might have a fucking point there, mate. I'll talk to the guy with the big hat about it, and if he doesn't want to spend the extra bajillion fucking bales of cotton on the price of his pyramid, he might fucking go with it. The pyramids were built to last, of course. Who knew? But they were also built to a budget. The budget had to be a quarter of the war budget, and the war budgets were fucking huge. Think America. That was what Egypt thought of itself as. They had guard points all around their empire. Every 4 clicks away, they had a fort around their border with a garrison. Garrison had a minimum of 10 men, and 4 clicks away, there was a minimum of 10 men. The whole fucking border was garrisoned that way. There were thousands and thousands of troops on the border. If you wanted to invade Egypt, you'd want to do it real quick and in a lot of places all at once. And you'd want to fucking get it right the first time, because if you got in there and didn't win, you weren't getting out. No, bad move. And they wanted everyone to know that it was going to be a bad fucking move, and so they spent a lot of money on their army, and their army was very, very fucking grateful. Thank you. They spent a lot of money on their priesthood, and their priesthood was very fucking grateful. Thank you. And their population being kept in line by the army and being kept in line by the priesthood was very, very fucking good to the boss.
Yeah.
And the boss wanted a big fucking tomb, thanks. And the boss got a big fucking tomb. The population was very happy to give the boss a big tomb because the covenant was this. Boss, while you're alive on Earth, we will give you fucking earthly pleasures like no motherfucker has seen. You, on the other hand, will vouchsafe to intercede for us on your death in perpetuity to the gods to make the Nile rise and fall, to give us food, freedom, and power for the rest of our existence. And you will forever be the slave of the people. And a lot of the times the pharaohs called themselves the slave of the people, especially when they were doing shit like being on campaign and having to do a war on 2 fronts and having to run the economy and but they didn't mind because that was the job. Because at the end of the day, they could go, I've had a cunt of a day, send 3 maidens in because I want a blowjob. And they'd get them. And they'd be treated really well, but they knew they had to treat back and they had to get it right. And they used to sometimes say shit like, we're fucking pulling the boundaries back because we can't hold them. and I'm not going to fucking waste lives fucking holding something that we're going to have to give up and give up slaves. You guys, and they would point to towns and say, you're moving. And they would take the town. Armies would come in, cut the fucking town up into stones, put it on fucking oxen and fucking go. And they'd rebuild the town on the same plan in another bit of river that looked kind of the same 1,000 k's that way.
Army
Fucking
engineers, man. Army engineers.
fucking
That's what we
make
do.
Mail and Grandma a lot easier.
I remember seeing a fascinating little doco on a much smaller scale, but the Great Ocean Road, which for those who don't know is a road that goes out of Melbourne. Well, it's way out past Melbourne, past Geelong, and it follows the coastline. And it's this narrow, twisty, turny thing. And for a lot of people, for hundreds of kilometers, it's actually the only connecting road. And if something goes wrong with it, you have to go the extremely long way around to get to Melbourne. They've progressively over the years built a few more roads, so it's less so. But it used to be the only road that served people for hundreds of kilometers. And I've seen old docos from the 60s where after a big storm, a landslide actually took out a huge section of the road. And to do the proper permanent stuff takes ages, but you want the road open real quick, you send the Army engineers out there and they build something because they were trained to build fords for tanks to cross rivers and stuff.
While being shot at.
They know how to build an incredibly sturdy, if temporary, roadway real fucking quick. And these poor people, when the road got taken out in a landslide, instead of being cut off for a year while major works were done, the Army engineers would go out and make it passable within a day or two. Oh, Catherine say the Great Ocean Road gives you motion sickness. Every time I take someone, because I like to take visitors on the Great Ocean Road because it's great, I always ask, has anyone even mildly ever in their life got travel sickness? If the answer is yes, take this preventative stuff before the drive, because this drive will fuck you up. This will give you motion sickness.
It's black tar heroin, but you'll feel great, and you won't be sick until after the first time you'll be sick, but then you feel great after. And you go on the Ocean Road.
Yes.
You know that on the way out to Boss of the House's place, I have to go on the train, because he goes on bike, because he's a homosexual. And I go on the train and I go past the Australian Army Corps of Engineers. They call them the 339 Corps Engineers, black and red. And they have their home base here in eastern Melbourne. And one time, I don't know what I was doing. I was bored. No, it wasn't going out to Boss of the House's place. It was going out when I was homeless, and I was going out to my mate's place, and I was off my guts on drugs. And
that's why you were confused about the story.
Yeah. Now, guys, I'm going to tell you now that a lot of the stories that I tell, your boyfriend is a homosexual. Scandalous. Have a go. Yes, I know. Have a go. I am fucking scandalized at my boyfriend being a homosexual. I didn't know. You
didn't know? He kept that from you.
He kept that from me. We were deeply enmeshed in animal sex. And then I'm going, are you okay? And he was going, I think you should know I'm a homosexual.
Oh, my God.
What? Knocked a dick fair out of my mouth.
Yep. It was one of the biggest shocks you ever got.
Anyway.
Why is this homosexual dick in my mouth?
And said, tell me about the sap. I said, do we do sapping anymore? And he said, fucking oath we do sapping. And he took me through there. They had a little museum there, and they had the sappers, and always the class photo of these gruff-looking guys giving a boot up. yarn, like looking like they're crazy motherfuckers, because they're crazy motherfuckers. And this guy's sergeant said, well, what we do is we blow stuff up and we put stuff in. Usually we're blowing up stuff that the enemy used to have or like, and we put in, usually these days it's air bases and places for you to shit. Beyond that, we can often do, things like bridges, aqueducts, and boreholes for water and or oil or other petrochemicals, whatever you want, really, we'll get it done. Usually with explosives. Don't have to do with explosives. We just like explosives. And this guy, fucking great. And he showed me every year they have a test out at somewhere in Australia where the older sappers go out and they lay mines and they lay bombs and they put unexploded bombs, because guess what? The sappers get to do that too.
Yeah.
Unexploded bombs, and you have to get a column of tanks, trucks, and logistical supply to the other end of your track. All the tracks are the same length exactly, like down to the millimeter, right? Because they've surveyed it perfectly. And that everyone's got the same amount of stuff they've got to deal with. And as you're coming up along your road, boom, a mine will go off and your road has just gone into... You've seen those pictures out of Afghanistan. The whole fucking road just disappears, up in this big mushroom of nothing. And it's like, shit, I've now got a column of fucking trucks behind me that are saying, hello, air attack, please come and fuck me up. And so you've got to get them over that big fucking hole in like maybe 15 or 20 minutes before the air attack can be summoned. And you can bet your ass they're on the phone to the RAAF, who would love to fly down at Mach 1 or 2 above a column of army grunts and make a big bang sound going as fast as the speed of sound and drop dummy bombs on their trucks. They would love the fucking shit out of that. So they get the bridge made. Then they've got scouts up the front who notice fucking roadside bombs, which is a fairly big thing nowadays. Yeah. And they've got to de-arm those. Then they've got to find unexploded bombs, and they've got to de-arm those. And those unexploded bombs won't actually kill you, but they do have high explosive in them, and they do blow up, and they will put you in hospital. You'll be in hospital with broken shit and bruises for about a month. So try not to fuck up unexploding the bombs. And I was just listening to this guy, I was just fascinated. And I said, so, and this is just shit. Yeah, we do it every year. And to make it interesting, some years we have the other army out with live rounds shooting at us, because that's what happens especially when we're blowing up stuff that the enemy wants. They tend to want to keep it, and they shoot at you. And they have fucking soldiers shooting live rounds as they try and sneak in and blow it up. Yeah. And they can see them as just don't get hit, just stay in cover and pass the C4. So anyway, I just thought that was pretty fascinating, and I was very admirous of that. So I always feel a bit more comfortable with the Army's built something, because
that's fair.
Quickly and fairly well.
No, to change the subject a bit, actually back to what we were talking about before, Abigail did bring something up that I remembered. This was on The Onion, as the internet's premier satire site, as about 15 years ago. Yeah. Abigail thought it was the 90s, but it said it was June 2005. It's an opinion column, and I'll read it to you. They used to do much longer things than they do now.
I can hear you. Keep talking.
Yep. So the opinion column goes, look, I'm not a hateful person or anything. I believe we should all live and let live. But lately, I've been having a real problem with these homosexuals. You see, just about wherever I go these days, one of them approaches me and starts sucking my cock. Take last Sunday, for instance, when I casually struck up a conversation with this guy in the health club locker room. Nothing fruity, just a couple of fellas talking about their workout routines while enjoying a nice hot shower. The guy looked like a real man's man too. Big biceps, meaty thighs, thick neck. Didn't seem the least bit gay. At least not until he started sucking my cock, that is. Where does this queer get the nerve to suck my cock? Did I look gay to him? Was I wearing a pink feather boa without realizing it? I don't recall the phrase suck my cock entering the conversation, and I don't have a sign around my neck that says, please, you homosexuals, suck my cock. I've got nothing against homosexuals. Let them be free to do their gay thing in peace, I say. But when they start sucking my cock, I've got a real problem. Then there was the time I was hiking through the woods and came across a rugged-looking blonde-haired man in his early 30s. He seemed straight enough to me while we were bathing in that mountain stream, but before you know it, he's sucking my cock. What is it with these homos? Can't they control their sexual urges? Aren't there enough gay cocks out there for them to suck on without them having to target normal people like me? Believe me, I have no interest in getting my cock sucked by some queer, but try telling that to the guy at the beach club, or the one in the video store, or the one who catered my wedding, or any of the countless other homos who've come on to me recently. All of them sucked my cock, and there was nothing I could do to stop them. I tell you, when a homosexual is sucking your cock, a lot of strange thoughts go to your head. How the hell did this happen? Where did this fairy ever get the idea I was gay? And where did he get those fantastic boots? It screws with your head at other times too. Every time a man passes me on the street, I'm afraid he's going to grab me, drag me off to some bathroom, and suck my cock. I even started to visualize these repulsive cock-sucking episodes during the healthy heterosexual marital relations I enjoy with my wife. Even some, I was going to try and keep a straight face, but I can't. Even some that haven't actually happened, like the sweaty post-game locker room tryst with Vancouver Canucks forward Mark Messier, I can't seem to stop thinking about. Things could be worse, I suppose. It could be women trying to suck my cock, which would be adultery, and that would make me feel tremendously guilty. As it is, I'm just angry and sickened. But believe me, that's enough. I don't know what makes these homosexuals mistake me for a guy who wants his cock sucked. And frankly, I don't want to know. I just wish there was some way to get them to stop. I've tried all sorts of things, but it's been to no avail. A few months back, I started wearing an intimidating-looking black leather thong with menacing metal studs in the hope that it would frighten those faggots off. But it didn't work. In fact, it only seemed to encourage them. Then I really started getting rough, slapping them around whenever they were sucking my cock. But that failed too. Even pulling out of their mouths just before ejaculation and shooting sperm all over their face, chest, and hair seemed to have no effect. What do I have to do to get the message across? I swear, if these homosexuals don't take a hint and quit sucking my cock all the time, I'm going to have to resort to drastic measures, like maybe pinning them down on the cement floor of the loading dock with my powerful forearms and working my cock all the way up their butt so they understand loud and clear just how much I disapprove of their unwelcome advances. I mean, you can't get much more direct than that. Okay.
No, you can't. And I feel for him. I think
I mean, it is. You know, what do you do in those situations?
What are you supposed to say? What are you supposed to say?
Yeah.
You're supposed to say, "Excuse me, sir. I don't think you've noticed, but
my penis is in your mouth."
There's only supposed to be room in this cubicle for one, and you seem to have accidentally walked in on me while I was furiously flogging off at the glory hole.
Yes, there's been a miscommunication. Hey, so I'm going to make a cocktail, which is why I'm dressed like this. I'm going to make my prohibition cocktail. Do you want to play on, or do you want to have some company to talk to while I'm doing it, or do you want to?
I don't do that.
Get some company?
Who wants to play?
Who wants to play indeed? I am going to post
normal stuff. I'm gonna eat a packet of 2-minute noodles.
Okay.
You talk to me. It's good.
Get some 2-minute
You
noodles.
like it.
All right. So if anyone feels like joining and having a bit of a chat, that is L link that I put there that you can feel free to click on. I gotta get some stuff.
Shit.
Shit indeed. Introduce up there. Hello, Lee. How are you?
Hey guys.
How's it going?
Yeah, good. I got a high distinction. Another one.
Excellent. Good work, you. Good work
Yeah.
indeed. That's great. Good stuff.
Didn't expect it.
Oh, good job.
Had to cut the top off
Well, what?
because otherwise it'd be. It's
All right, that's pretty exciting. And Catherine was. Oh yeah, you are there, Catherine. Hello.
Hi, gorgeous.
Good,
Hey.
good. Today's a good day.
You've got a thing.
I do.
No. What? What are you saying? It's all got
Where's the
confusing.
echo?
Where's the echo?
Yeah.
No, I can't hear an echo. There's no echo.
Try again.
Alright.
Say, I saw Polly woodpeckers.
Hey, woodpeckers.
Yeah. Speaking of woodpeckers, I've been taking up bird watching in Red Dead Redemption 2 with following the method of my cowboy going around with a gun, and it's called the "What bird did that used to be?" You see one, shoot it down, and then go over and inspect it and go, "Oh, that's what that was. Oh, cool."
You
Hey, nobody.
Hey, everybody.
Hey nobody.
Hello to you. I've always liked how nobody's pop blocker covers half his face. Like it's almost like trying to say hello to Zorro.
Yeah, I think there was an echo again. But no, I'm having trouble working out whether anyone's having an echo or not. Anyway, yes, no, it settled down, whatever it was. I don't know if it was happening at nobody's end because he muted himself. Yeah, I think it is happening at your end.
Is it my end?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what that is because it doesn't.
I'm getting fluttering from angry. I'm getting obviously just me. I don't know what.
Yeah.
I'll just mute.
Yeah, sorry, there was a problem with at nobody's end causing an echo.
That's not good.
But that's not good.
Whose was it? Whose was
It
it?
was at nobody's end, which is interesting because it doesn't usually happen. He's going the headphone solution,
Going the
which is
headphone.
Oh, yeah, that works. That does work.
Hold on.
So
How about now?
That's much better.
That's better.
You so look like Zorro, or a ninja, with your pop blocker on. You can't, because it's like you can't. No one can see me. I am
better.
Yeah, I have come to take your castle and your woman.
I'm
So want to have nobody as a ninja.
What, are you ready to play?
No, I'm thinking better now. I'm thinking about a guerrilla Australian short film done in the style of an Edo period Japanese war film with a Japanese castle done out in the outback and ninjas and warriors running around with Australian shit on. And playing the same parts that they would, but with Australian accents and the whole bit. Same politics and everything, moving money and gold and rice around.
Cool.
And just
Yeah.
having
That
people
doesn't get racist.
wicked.
Alright guys, I've been beckoned. I've got to go.
Okay, daddy, children, have a good night, Lee.
Have a
Yeah,
good one,
you
lad.
too.
See you, man.
And before I go, I had an interesting conversation with a friend who wants to punch Elon Musk in the face so much until there's no face.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can imagine
Mm.
there's a few
Alright, see
people
you
who
guys.
feel that way.
Cheers.
Bye. Punch Elon Musk in the face. What did he do?
Well, he is a bit of a tosser.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I know he's a bit of a tosser, but is there something particular he'd done to piss him off?
Fair question.
All right, I'm going to leave you kids to talk.
I'm confused at that.
Switch
I
off
would have
my making.
to have got an idea of what Lee was talking about then. But he's
Yeah.
left us a mystery.
Yeah, what? Does Lee want to punch Elon Musk in the face?
Lee's friend wants to
Lee's
punch
friend.
until there's no more face.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I know the guy the tosser and like just got so much money. He's like, oh, I'm being helpful, and he's like not really being that helpful with it. But I mean, the guy trying to be an environmentalist. The only problem is it's bloody loaded.
I'm not sure how genuine he is or isn't about environmental concerns.
Yeah.
No, I've heard that too.
I don't know.
I heard that too, but at the same time, and I will say this at the same time, he's doing something as opposed to
Yeah.
fuck all, which
That's
He's
true.
trying.
That is absolutely true.
GM
Whether
is
his
doing-
motivations.
fuck all, and
Yeah.
Shell is doing fuck all. The only oil companies
No,
doing
that's fair.
anything about the environment are the Arabian ones.
Mm.
Which tells me a lot of stories in a lot of hurry. The Arabians are putting a lot of money into alternative fuels. They put a lot of money into bacteriological research and farming the desert. And they're putting a lot of money into fuel producing bacteria grown in big green algae vats.
Yeah, that tells you the
because
writing's on the wall for
The
something.
writing's on the fucking wall.
Yeah. They're like running out of oil.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And no,
and
no.
not only
Yeah.
that, shit is changing.
Yeah, about it's about 10 years ago now, Saudi Arabia stopped telling the world what the oil reserves were. They stopped telling everyone. And they still know that they've got fucking heaps of oil. There's a lot there. But the Saudis have basically crunched the numbers, and they're seeing that those numbers are going to run out.
Oh yeah.
Long before global warming is a thing, they're going to have no more fucking income. Nowadays in Australia, in the academia world, you're seeing a lot of Saudis learning engineering, learning structural fucking architecture, learning fucking civil engineering, learning automotive engineering in an Australian university. You're getting a lot of Saudi students coming over and getting fucking big time Australian degrees. Can we still hear angry, or am I just echoing like crazy?
You're just echoing. We can't hear angry at all. He muted Mike or something. I think he's shooting a cocktail video.
Yeah, he is. He is
Yeah.
shooting his
Yeah.
cocktail video.
Yeah.
Totally shooting his cocktail video.
Yeah.
And he's you can always tell because he's always got the camera down low. And he's
Yeah.
always up here with the hands.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Hands are always up there. No, but he's back with us. And
Yeah.
he's done, oh my
Yeah,
God, he's drinking another
just
take.
another fuck off
Oh, he's
big
not happy.
cockroach.
He's not
Oh,
happy
how
with his stage.
big? Like that big or that big?
Somewhere in between those two. But there is a cockroach I came across the other day that's about as big as my index finger.
Oh,
They're
well,
getting
that's
pretty
big. Well,
Sorry, I'm what?
giant cockroaches at nobody's house.
In which city do you live, nobody?
Sorry, what's that?
Which city do you live?
I live north of Brisbane.
Oh yeah. That's
Yeah, tropics. That.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sydney and north
Southeast.
is where you get the cockies.
Yeah, southeast Queensland.
And fucking Sydney, you could fucking strap a saddle on those cockroaches and ride the fuckers home. They are huge.
I believe it.
I was in a place in Sydney where my auntie and my uncle owned this pub, and we were staying in the family part of the pub, which was like 3 floors of this pub. It was a fucking huge pub. And we were staying in this room, and it was really lovely. And we were on mattresses on the ground. The BFD, we were swimmers back then. We were used to sleeping on concrete, so don't worry about it. Anyway, my brother wakes me up in the middle of the night, taps and says, "Fuck me, look at that." There's this cockroach there. And I swear the thing was 15 centimeters long.
No way. That
long.
long.
That is a big ass roach.
Whoa.
We were going, we kill it. And my brother said, "I don't know, man. If we don't, it'll only just piss it off." And then it's fucking family turned up. And we just said, "No, this is no longer right. This is no longer okay." So we got told if there was a roach in your bed, and there won't be, but if there is, here's some spray killer to kill it. So it's like, you got to understand that we are used to getting up at 4:30 in the morning, so we're starting to become more active anyway. And we're not fazed by the fact that it's 3 o'clock in the morning. And we're hunting around quietly as we can because the rest of our family's in this room. And we start to spray these fucking roaches, right? And as we hit them, they start to twitch and then they start to fly. And there's like 40 huge roaches flying around. My old man gets up, going, "What the fuck?" And he turns the light on. Of course, the light goes on, and all the roaches are going, and they hate being in light. And so they all start to fly back to their crevice. And he's looking at us, and we've got this can of spray. "What are you doing?" "Killing roaches. They're bigger than trying to find. Well, were they eating you?" "No, they're there. Now the baby's awake, and now the fucking mother's upset, and you've upset everyone and made a big bloody noise, woken up the whole," and he was screaming his fucking head off. "And you've woken up everyone, and you've made a big bloody," and we're just killing roaches. And look what you've done. You've now poisoned the pub. You probably closed it down forever. You probably cost your family millions of dollars, and you'll put them in the poorhouse, and it's your fault. Grrr. And he goes back to sleep, and we're going, "Oh no, we've done a really bad thing." And we report I've spat a little bit of noodle onto the screen. It's a touch screen, so it might have odd effects. Does have odd effects.
Okay.
I've got the noodle off the screen now. Catherine, you no longer have to worry about having noodle on you. I was going to ask you just to wipe it off your forehead. That wasn't going to work. So, yeah, we got in trouble for killing cockroaches. And my uncle said, "So how many of them were there?" And we said, "Oh, about 15 or 20, maybe more." And he said, "And you sprayed pretty much all of them before they started flying?" And we said, "Yeah, we got them pretty much all. We went pretty quick." And he said, "That's awesome work. I reckon if we kicked a crevice, we'd find their relatives bring out most of the bodies." And, I said, yeah. Because once they're dead, they eat them. And because they've eaten them, they'll have, rat sack on them. They won't be real well, and they'll come out pretty slow. says, where is it? About here? And he said, yeah. And so he's giving the wall a big tuft with his leg. And these cockies come storming out of the place, and there are fucking hundreds of them, dragging the carcasses of the ones that we've killed last night. Because they're not leaving the food storage just for for other insects to come and take, like spiders. Fuck that. So me and my brother close to hurling. And he said, geez, you've got a good haul there. And he said, you've done well, because all those cockies are very unwell. Otherwise, they would have gone a lot faster. And they were not going slowly. They really raced out. And I said, how fast did they go? He says, oh, so fast that you can't see them individually. They blur as they run in a swarm. That's why they call the Sydney Rugby League State of Origin team the cockroaches, because they swarm so fast. You just can't see them. And,
you mentioned spiders before.
Say again.
You mentioned spiders. I remember drawing the shower curtain across one evening. Jump in there, turn round, and on the inside of the shower curtain was, I wouldn't say an enormous spider, about, palm of the hand sized spider, munching on a cockroach. I thought, good for you. I'll just slide that over there so that you don't get wet, and I'll keep having my shower. We'll both be fine.
Exactly. I was always the most arachnophobic kid until I lived.
There was one moment.
Sorry. Please.
No, you're right. I was just there was one moment that I got a bit of a shock, and that was many years ago when I still lived at my mum's place, and I grabbed a bike helmet out of the shed and put it straight on. And I'm sure you've already figured out what happened next. Yes.
How big?
Again, probably similar, like palm of the hand sort of size, like about that kind of thing. Ran across my face. It was a bit of the, what the fuck? Yeah, flick this thing and the spider lands on the ground. And just, you sort of hear this.
That's the thing. The bigger those huntsmen get,
standing up on its bloody haunches. Oh shit!
When they land with a thump. It's like they're landing mass. And
show to the
geckos. When I was a kid, I was terribly afraid of spiders, very arachnophobic, and I was scared of Danny Longlegs. I was that afraid.
Oh wow!
And, I stayed afraid of spiders until I got well past uni, and I was shown that huntsmen are your friend. Because I was living in Bathurst, and in summertime it gets hot and humid, so humid, and it'll go humid for days and then just not rain.
Oh.
Fuck you. Horrible weather. And in that weather, the mozzies are having a ball. They're having a great time. They're all over the place, and if you allow them to, when they haven't fed, they'll get through the screen, feed on you, then wait until they can get out again. Fuckers. Anyway, so what you do is you leave the huntsmen on the outside of the screens, and the mozzies will come up to the screen, and they've got to push their way through. But the huntsmen have just got to race down, crunch, and get them. They'll munch on them, nom, 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 nom. Ah, lovely. And then they'll walk back up to the corner of their screen with their friends. And you can usually get about between 20 and 50 huntsmen of differing sizes. Because they're not particularly territorial. It's like, don't worry, boys, there's enough mozzies to go round. There will be more. Don't worry. Everyone can get one. It's okay.
In general, they're not very aggressive either.
No, they're not. And I had to.
I've never quite been comfortable enough to free handle them, but theoretically nothing would happen. They're very placid, really.
The guy that got me comfortable with huntsmen said, "I want you to actually watch what they do. Is the first thing I want you to watch is that they're hiding in plain sight in the corners, and they're trying to hide behind one another because we're here,
Yeah.
and they're
Yes,
afraid of us."
They don't want to talk to the human.
Right? They're actually
And we're not on their menu because
they're
we're too big.
comfortable with us being
Yeah.
and then we would see a mozzie come in, we have sprayed us with a lot of Aerogard, like a lot of Aerogard. And
That's good.
then the mozzie comes and goes, "Oh, I'm going to have an eat." No, I'm not going to have an eat. And goes, "Oh, there's carbon dioxide in this building." And that's what the mozzies come in on, carbon dioxide. That's what they smell. That's what they go for. There's carbon dioxide coming out of this building. I'll go in there. Gets into the screen. Spider says it comes, grabs it, bites it, and instead of cocoon, they don't cocoon their kills, they eat them. And that night I thought that a very big mosquito was grabbed by one sort of medium-sized huntsman and was then ripped open, and then ripped open again, and two other huntsmen came and grabbed the other two bits.
Oh,
Right? I was like, I can't eat all this. You guys can have some of this. Oh yeah, I'm in. And they did do webs, but they were only really primary things. They were more for their own useful shelter and grabbing onto stuff. You know,
oh yeah, like a chair.
Yeah, like a chair. So I, as one of the things he had going, he grabbed this huntsman, and it was fairly big, and he had me sit in a deck chair and him sit in a deck chair, and he put it, and it was in a corner. I said, "Now what I want you to do," because the huntsman's looking at us like, "Oh yeah, fellas,
Just a sec, I'll be back."
I'll go, yeah. And this huntsman, he said, "I want you to put walking man fingers and walk slowly toward the huntsman." I'm going, Jesus, I don't want to do this. So I did walking man fingers, and the huntsman is backing off and backing off and backing off, and then looks around itself very quickly, sees a wall, and jumps, turns, grabs the wall, runs up the corner to get out of the walking man way. It was out of there so fast. Did you hear the rest of that, Catherine?
Sorry, I just had to mute you, Catherine, because it's causing an echo at your end. So, no, sorry, you're muted at the moment. And so,
yeah.
Because there's, now it seems okay.
Oh no, that was coming from outside. That squealing? Is that what you're talking about?
No. There was an actual echo. So, but for whatever reason, it's largely stopped now.
Yeah, I don't know
I think
why.
I was causing some echo before, but my mic was turned up too far, so I fixed that.
Yeah. No,
There is a bit of echo at your end, Catherine.
All right, how do I fix that? I mean, the only thing I've got open is StreamYard. So
Yeah, no, it's not that bad at the moment.
It's not a big problem, but what you can do if you're concerned about it is, depending on your device, on my computer, I've got below the video window some options, and one of them is mute. So when I'm not speaking, I try to remember to mute myself.
no,
But then remember to turn it on when you're talking.
Yes.
What I was going to say, I did hear some major squealing from outside.
Okay.
And it went on for like a minute or so. So someone's car must be really bad.
Well, it wasn't me. My car's in the driveway.
Yeah, no, it was here at my place, my end, but man, that was bad.
Yeah.
I had a friend. She kept making jokes about me hooning, and I do drive aggressively sometimes. And she kept saying, "Oh, I'm going to tell everyone you've been hooning around with me." So I went, "Well, I'll give you a reason to then, won't I?" So, yeah, I did that. I pulled up at an intersection. First gear, clunk.
Yeah.
Pick the revs up. Let the clutch out hard and left a thick black skid the entire distance across a fucking intersection.
Damn.
Oh, gee, she squealed. She squealed louder than the fucking tires.
And hello, Annette, too, by the way. So I made a scofflaw, which is a Prohibition era drink. It's
What has it got in it?
whiskey, vermouth, lemon juice, and grenadine. And then I made a clarified version of it, which I've drunk most of. So you can't really tell. The clarified version looks much prettier than the other version. Safa drives auto. You can do squealies in auto, Safa, by keeping your foot on the brake while you put the accelerator to the floor and then just drop your foot off the brake. And if the car's got any sort of pickup, that normally causes a scene.
Yes, it does. The other thing you can do is you can drive really, 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 really slowly and then thump it, kick it down to the wall.
Yeah, that tends to scare it into wheel spin.
And if it's anything out of Japan since the 90s, the overheads will kick in and give it all the petrol that it wants. A Camry V6 will beat most Holdens off at the lights every time.
That doesn't surprise me. Holden's a shit.
And why do you think I end up making them?
That's the thing that I tend to not get into the blue and the red war. I don't think it's a thing.
No,
mind you,
honestly,
I do love Japanese bikes.
The
Harleys are wonderful, but I do love Japanese bikes. There was one thing I saw called a Ninja Stick. It's this very thin, very black Kawasaki, made from a cross-country engine stock, but turned into a four-cylinder. So they've had two cross-country engine blocks fused together to make this four-stroke beast. So they've got two 400s into an 800 basically, and they've put them in line so it's thin, and the whole thing is black, and it's quiet. It is so quiet. Like you turn it on and it goes woo, 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 woo.
Stealthmobile.
And effectively you can't see it. You can see the blinkers going on and off, and there's rows of LEDs around the outlines of the bike, and when the lights go on, they go on. And he says during dawn and dusk I definitely turn the lights on so I can be seen, because at night I have this other trick, and he's got this set of fog lights and they're yellow. Yeah, they're not actually very bright, but through fog they cut through the wave
Yes.
form of the water very well.
Special fog
So you can
lights.
actually
Yeah.
see. And so he puts the fog lights on and all the LEDs go off. It's fucking invisible. And he said the amount of times I've been chased by cops, turned on the fog lights and just disappeared. But he said he had to leave the country town he lived in because every time it happened, the cops would come around to his house next day and go, yeah,
We know that was you.
You're doing
Yeah.
168 Ks in an 80 zone. Buddy, that's 3.
Mm.
You do it again, you're going to jail. You know that, don't you, Tones?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, he'd behave himself until he got his points back, and then he'd lose his points. And the
Yeah.
cops would be round at his place and going, Tones, tomorrow you're getting your points back. And we're following you all day.
Yeah.
Could they actually prove he did it if they couldn't see him properly?
the only
Cops.
guy in town.
If cops say it happened, it happened.
In a country town, if cops say the fucking world went upside down, the world went upside down.
Yeah.
If cops say they found the Ark of the fucking Covenant in your house, the judge will go, well, fuck, what were you doing with that then?
Yeah.
Believe me, in a country town, when the cops prosecute you, you are pros-the-fucking-cuted.
Yeah, absolutely. They just have to say it, and that's what I like the sound of Annette's drink. Hendrick's gin with sugarless lemonade, muddled mint leaves, and a bit of Kakadu plum. That sounds like a mighty nice high. I assume that's a highball. That sounds really good.
Yeah.
No gin for me. The last time was a really bad experience, and I've got some at home, but I just haven't drunk it.
Yeah, a lot of people have that
Speaking
thing,
of alcohol,
a psychological association with a particular spirit that they abused, and I sort of try to gently tell them it's no different to any other spirit. But it's a psychological thing because it's usually the smell as well. The smell just triggers the memories in your brain of, no, this meant a really bad time, and it's no worse for you than any other spirit. But if it's got that sense association with it, it's absolutely real. Yeah.
I can't.
if you've had a bad time on something,
butterscotch snap
the smell of it makes your stomach go,
because
"Ew."
of that.
Yeah.
I
No,
might
but
start
butterscotch schnapps
burn.
is terrible, AZ. No one should do butterscotch schnapps because it's
I did a lot of
fucking
butterscotch
terrible.
snaps. I did a fuckload of butterscotch
I
snaps.
disagree.
I did a bottle of butterscotch snaps. And my wife helped me because I was in excessive pain. I had nothing to eat because we got there. We'd gone to a snow gig and you could bring your partner with you.
Yeah.
I said, I'll do it, but we need a seat for me because I can't be packed in because I've got, the disease, and a seat for my wife who was a largish girl. And we need to have a private room because I can't have her fucking bedding down with a whole bunch of fucking comics. That's not the go. We get there and our private room is through the dorm room of the other guys. I'm thinking, okay. We do the gig. There were maybe 8 people there, and we come late for dinner. We hadn't. We were on time. We come late for dinner, and it was Mexican. So there's nothing for me to eat. I begged for some bread at the kitchen. They went, no. And they kind of looked at me like, you're not a snow bunny. What do you want? Cough. And we got paid. I mean, the guy did his best. He did his best, but I was having a shit time. I was very sore. And so my wife kept on pumping schnapps into me. And when I woke up, it was time to go. And I got 5 minutes to get dressed and get out the door. And I got out the door, and the owner was there. The booker was there and said, I hope you guys had a good time. And I said, thank you. It's a very beautiful blah. And schnapps fucking ended up on his front.
Oh no.
Right.
Did you drink on an empty stomach because you couldn't eat the Mexican?
Yeah, I couldn't eat Mexican food. It would have killed me. And my poor wife.
So you just consoled yourself with pepper snap.
That we're going to have to fucking deaden his nerve cells, or he's not going to sleep. It's going to be
Since
the
we're
drive home. It's going to be
exchanging-
worse. So she did that. Anyway, we found a chemist about halfway home, and we had to buy water, and everyone had to go in and buy a packet of drugs for me. And they watched in shock and amazement as I ate all of the drugs. And one of the girls said, can you save 2 for me? And I went, yeah, sure, here you go. And one of the other guys said, can I have the same? Yeah, sure, here you go. And same with another one. And the driver went, I won't. And I said, I think that would be best. Anyway, so we're going along, and I'm talking to the driver. And it turned out that he'd snuck a halfer from his missus. And he's going, are you any good at driving? I'm going, I'm actually not a bad driver at all. He said, because you're the only one talking. Everyone else is fucked up and or asleep. and you're fine. And that bothers me a lot. If the police caught us, would you be done for DUI? And I say they have no way of testing for what I'm on. And he said, thank Christ, because I can't do this anymore. And he pulled over and he got me in the driver's seat. My wife was shitty. She was so fucking shitty because everyone else had flaked. And I was fucked. And I was driving home. But of course, I was so tolerant to it by that point that, I was fucked. Let's not kid around here, right? My judgment was not 100%, but it was 90. Their judgment off 2 was 10, maybe 20. And this poor guy who was driving us, he booked the gig for us. His judgment was, hovering around 30, and he was not confident. And he did the right thing. If you're not confident, stop. Stop and get an alternative going. But the alternative they got was me. And I ended up having to take them to the assembly point, and they all said, I'm going to stream home. And when they all saw me again, they said, how the fuck do you do this? You do this every day. And I said, I have to, otherwise I can't move. And they went, you're a unit. You do that when you get up on stage. Before I get up on stage, well before. Otherwise I couldn't actually get up the step. And they go, it's fucked up. How can you? I couldn't string words together, but you come out with routines and shit. Yeah.
Tolerances. I think nobody wanted to relate his "I had a really bad experience and I can't touch that shit anymore" story.
Oh, no. Well, I've had that before too. But we were talking about disgracing ourselves with substances. Recently, one of my friends, in fact, a friend I scared by doing burnouts, she had a birthday party. And I spent the beginning of the day doing some manual labor, a bit of chainsawing, which is always fun.
Yeah.
And he fed me half a carton of full-strength beers.
Yeah.
The problem was that by the time I finished this half a carton that we'd been enjoying, and keeping in mind my tolerance is not great these days, I was supposed to be the driver to go to the venue. And that wasn't going to happen.
No.
I'm here to tell you that the whole myth of walk it off and you'll be fine, bullshit.
Yeah, it is a myth. It is a myth.
It's a total myth. If anything, it made matters far worse.
Yeah.
So she lives about roughly a K from me. That was the most interesting kilometer walk I've done for quite some time.
How long did it take?
I don't know. I didn't keep track of time. It's probably only like 15 minutes or something like that.
When you're that pissed.
Oh, I managed to make good time.
Really?
I think I walked at a reasonably normal rate. I may have walked into the odd post or two, but I did walk at a reasonable rate. And I'm not exaggerating. I did, I think, walk into at least one power pole. Sorry?
Usually over a kilometre walk when I'm pissed. I'm usually walking 1.8 kilometres, a little bit over there.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I did walk into at least one power pole.
Happens
because I didn't see it until it was about here. I was like, oh, okay.
So many times now that I was saying to Angry, get glasses or stop wanting to headbutt poles.
Good advice.
And he was just going, I just have a thing with poles. I like walking into poles because I'm a dick.
Oh, it's fun. Yeah.
And he was saying that, and I was going, you're not a dick, Angry. You're not a dick. You're a good man. You're a good man. People write Angry is a dick on the inside of my house all the time. And
people do that.
People do that, those fuckers, and I try to stop them. But,
hey, do these people in your head by any chance? Just curious.
Talk about that, nobody. We weren't going to fucking talk about that.
I apologize, my good friend.
Yeah, thanks, man.
That was low of me.
Fucking drop me in the shit. Right. These people in my head that write Angry as a dick all over my house, right? Because
you could have denied it.
They don't fucking leave a phone number. Huh?
You could have
That's my
denied it.
issue. You know,
Mm.
they're maligning my good friend by
Yes,
spray
and they
painting
must be stopped.
Angry as a Dick all over the inside of my house. And it's not a lot of house to spray paint. I've tried it. I've tried painting Angry as a Dick. The people in my head have tried painting Angry as a Dick. I
Yeah.
think we can move on.
Yeah, we should move on. Hey, do you want?
Oh, dear.
Look, it's not that far off bedtime, but let's
I
go.
must say, I
Sorry,
was
go
well
on.
received. I was well received when I rocked up to her front to the door. You know, knock on the door. Hi, I was going to drive, but I'm drunk now. She was pretty cool about it, actually. I flicked her some cash for a cab, and but the problem was, occasionally this happens to anyone who abuses alcohol. It was a dinner. It was an evening party at a local cafe, and I'm looking at this food, going, that looks and smells. Oh no! Oh no! 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 I mean, I've gone through pretty much half a packet of stomach calming, antacids and anti-nausea stuff, and my stomach's going, if you put one bite of that, we're going to empty our contents on the floor.
Yeah.
So I didn't eat all night. They were very,
and I used
the entire family who were there, who were very, very tolerant of the fact that I disgraced myself by showing up drunk.
I used to have stomach ulcers, and my favorite drink in the world is Grand Marnier. And I for years couldn't drink it because I'd drink it, it'd go straight to the ulcer and bore a hole in. And so once a year, I'd force myself to drink orange juice and my Grand Marnier, not knowing that the orange juice was just as bad as the Grand Marnier. And then I'd drink something else and lose the lot. But I did love it so. And then a friend said, well, why don't you just gargle it and spit it out? And I said, have you never sucked a cock? Anyway.
Spitting is rude, yeah.
Yeah, fucking. But yes, no, I know what you mean. Fucking, you drink and then you try and eat something and you just go, no, it was a wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
It's like the old
doing that order is a very bad thing.
Beer, grass and beer, you're in the clear. Beer and grass, you're on your ass. Never mix the grain and the grape.
Yep.
You're
on point, right on.
Anyway,
I was remembered, but funny enough, apparently I was remembered for my good looks and not my intoxication.
Well, there you go. That's a score.
That's great, nobody. That is great.
They're all 10 years older than me, but still, compliment's a compliment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go with the win, dude. Go with the win.
Do I still sound bad?
There's still an echo coming in from your end.
All right, cool. I'll turn up.
I was going to say, the last 10 minutes, a controversial topic. I saw this being reported today. There's a film being made. It's being commissioned by the Australian streaming service Stan, a film about the Port Arthur massacre in Tasmania. And a lot of people are in a tiz about it, which seems a bit weird to me because we get true crime movies or disaster movies like 9/11 movies all the fucking time.
Yeah, I don't see the problem.
I think a badly made film would be horrible. Like the badly made 9/11 films were fucking horrible.
Yeah.
But the idea that you can't make a film about it is fucking weird. And a lot of people...
They had that John Jarrett Ivan Milat movie about 10, 15 years ago.
Yes, they've done the mini-series about Ivan Milat. There are movies about real disasters and real things with people dying. I guess it's just because it was one of the more traumatic events in all of white Australia's history. Some people, but I feel like it's being a bit overly precious. But it's not saying people who were affected by it feel a bit weird, this entertainment. But yeah, but that's what happens. Significant events have films and books and TV shows made about them. And trying to treat this like it's different is...
How much money
weird.
did they make out of dramatizing and making a movie about Titanic?
Well,
Squillions of fucking-
slightly more time.
Shitloads.
It's just the difference is it happened much longer time ago. But
Yeah, yeah.
you know, they still made huge profits at the expense of that disaster, didn't they?
It'd be better
That's the
that
fact.
if we had our historical movie made of Port Arthur now, while people who are alive, who was there, who could remember it, could tell about it.
Yeah, I
rather
think that's a
than
good point.
In 20 or 30 years, when the people that were there who could witness the failings of the events couldn't say anything, because it was a very pivotal moment in Australian history, because we were a gun culture up to that moment.
Yeah.
And that changed everything. Everything. We fucking got told no more guns. Bring them in.
That was what, 96?
About 96, yeah. And Judy Davis and Anthony Pagliarone, and apparently they're saying it's not going to have the actual shooting in it. It's going to be the lead up and, you know, what was in Martin Bryant's world that would push him in that direction and whatnot. Sorry, I also want to bring up, because you brought up Titanic. I've got this fun and silly little game app on my phone. Probably won't be able to see it, but it's like, yeah, there's the Titanic, and these little lifeboats go across there, and people jump off the Titanic, and you try and get the lifeboats under them to save them. And it's fun. It's simple and silly. And I remember it was like on the app page for this thing, there are all these people going like, that's so disrespectful. People died on the Titanic. And I was like, get fucked. There is literally not a single person alive who knew anyone who died on the Titanic. Everyone who had any connection to it is fucking dead.
Make jokes about recent history that people died in all the time.
Yeah.
I think we do have to be respectful when it's very recent. But
well, what do you call a pram on Ayers Rock?
Yeah, exactly. We did the
Meals on the
Azaria
Bill.
movie. Yeah.
it's just, I think we've got to be careful not to be oversensitive.
Oh, yeah. Else we'll just turn into a bunch of pussies.
I understand people who were traumatized by it having the initial reaction, that's fucked. But if you calm down for a second and think about it, if you're being at all rational, you have to go, well, this is just the thing that happens. And yes, this was a particularly traumatic event. But yeah, and I can understand people's initial reaction being quite visceral, but then you got to calm down a bit and go, well, this is just the thing that happens. People do dramatizations of these things, of famous murders, of famous traumatic events and whatnot. I remember that the Granville train crash, and you might have to be old enough. Yeah, and there was a TV thing on that. Actually, a mutual friend of ours, Sue Ann, who was living in the mountains at that point, her dad was one of the people who died. And this was back in the day when you had smoking cars on trains.
And he just stopped smoking.
He would always be in the smoking car, but he was trying to give up smoking. So that day he went in the non-smoking car that got completely crushed when the train derailed. And the smoking car...
Fucking ironic.
Yeah, I know, right? The smoking car was largely undamaged. And I don't think anyone in the smoking car died, or very few. But like basically everyone in the carriage he was in died. And yeah, given that Sue Ann was a comedian, actually worked it into routine. They tell you smoking will kill you. They don't fucking tell you about not smoking killing you as well.
Yeah.
But and he was in that. He was in the TV version of it, actually telling that as he's been stretched out and he's dying, he's going like, God, I was only on this bloody carriage because I gave up smoking.
And they asked her about the lining, and she said, "Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he was dead when they crashed."
Yeah.
They bloody they learnt more about Australian rescue is actually very good now, and they learnt more about Australian rescue and disaster in that crash than they did in the 50 years previous and in the 20 years post.
That's true.
Because
We
the
had to
first thing they learned-
standardize a lot of fittings after that.
They did. They standardised a lot of stuff. Nowadays, the police, the ambulance, and the fire can talk to one another through a single point of point of contact.
Because they all had different radio frequencies. Yeah.
They still do. They still do, and they're changing that. They're changing that now so that they're all going to be able to talk directly to one another because of the bushfires. They need to do that now. But what they found has worked for years and years is to have a single point of information filtering. But now they know that if I am near to the police in my zone, I need to zonally be able to connect. Now we have the computer power to do that. Anyway, the other thing that they found out that they didn't know before was what they were more interested in doing was getting bodies out of there when they should have been stepping over the dead bodies to treat the wounded. They should have ignored and stepped on top of the dead bodies because they didn't have a system of triage that we take for granted now. They just saw lots of bodies around and got them out respectfully. And it took so long that so many people who could have survived, something like 60% of the people who could have survived died because they...
What year was this?
Oh, it was the 70s.
70s. It was in the
70s. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I'm glad
Good point. People get
all of our smashing into stuff. The jaws of life are an Australian invention. They're basically a non-grindy way to cut metal off cars and planes and trains. Because if you grind a car top off a car that's got petrol running out of it, it'll blow up. It was invented here, and it was invented because of the Granville train smash, because they couldn't get through to places because they were crushed steel folded in on itself. And they had to hacksaw this stuff through or grind through it. And they were causing fires with grinders grinding through metal that was going onto the coachwork and starting to burn. And they would do a little bit and then put a fire out and then do a little bit and then put the fire out and go, this is fucking bullshit. We're never going to get this done. So we
learned a lot of lessons from those disasters.
That you don't put all of this was, again, something that I always took for granted. You don't put the rookies with the rookies, you put them with the experienced ones. Because the rookies have to know what to do, and they don't know what to do. The experienced one knows what to do, and the experienced one simply says, hand me this, do this, grab that, not there, put it there. And they found by doing that, the rookie learns that it's going to be okay. I'm not going to freak out. There's someone experienced with me, and I don't have to sit in the corner crying because there's death and shit everywhere and a head looking at me. And the experienced one just takes them through over and over and over again what to do right. And eventually you get through the trauma and go, okay, we've got to go for a beer now. But there's still more to do. Yeah, but we're fucking done 10 hours and we're fucked. It'll be here tomorrow. Trust me. And so they go. They learnt so much because they did this massive inquiry, and it was the first inquiry in Australia where they said, we are not pointing the finger at a person, we're pointing the finger at a problem. And it was the first.
That's good.
Far better attitude to have.
Yeah, because what they probably had is a problem with the way they're doing it, not who's doing it.
Exactly. You can't point your finger at New South Wales Rail. It was at the time one of the biggest industries in New South Wales. It was massive. The New South Wales
politics.
Industry.
It was politics. The reason that train crashed is because the mountain seats were marginal seats, and if people commuting were late for work, they'd vote against the government. And so whenever anyone said those trains have to slow down or we have to do new work on and fuck up all the commuting for 6 months, the government said no, because it would cost them the next election. And that politicking is the direct cause of that crash. The train was going too fast for the track it was on, and it was all down to politics.
And the other reason they said we're not going to be pointing at people, we're going to be pointing at reasons, was that the New South Wales Rail Union, because the New South Wales rail industry at that time was fucking enormous, and the union was incredibly powerful. And the union knew if they weren't going to point at the politicians, they were going to point at them. And the union said, you're not going to do that, or New South Wales isn't going to go for 6 months. And because in the 70s, there was a strike every second day over something, and the unions got their way. And then John Howard got in and fucked up Australia. But the unions did have to pull their fucking heads in, because they were being stupid. For a long time, they were being stupid. But unfortunately, it went too far the wrong way. But
what happens with the Libs every time?
What we got out of it was a inquiry that actually looked at reasons and causes. All the trains that have come since are actually safer. All of the rails that we've got since are actually safer. And we know when rails get unsafe now, because we know what to look for. We wouldn't have, if we'd have done the normal thing of who was to blame, all of that shit would have remained uncovered. I am running away from you now.
Okay, well, I'm going to bed. Good night. It's bedtime.
Well, good night, Angry.
Thank you.
Yeah, my phone did just tell me it was bedtime.
It is bedtime. It is bedtime.
Yeah.
Well, if anyone wants to stay for the so-called after party, I can hang around.
Well, you can say a proper good night to AZ for me, because I don't know how long he's going to be. So I'm going to go to bed. Oh, he's back. He's back.
He's back.
Love you.
Wonderful.
Love you. Love you. Love you.
Love you.